All right, so here we go. Yes, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is getting its next big expansion, From the Ashes, dropping on December 19th, 2025. And early impressions are already coming in from people who've played portions of it. Plus, we now have a massive free update that adds something the community has always wanted since day one. Yes, a full third-person mode. So today, we got to ask the real questions. Does the third-person mode actually work, or is it just a camera slapped on to a first-person game? Is From the Ashes actually a step up from the base campaign? What's the deal with the new enemies, including the Ash? And why are some people calling this a missed opportunity? And are there meaningful new combat mechanics, or is it more of the same outpost loop? And most importantly, is this the expansion that finally brings players back to Pandora for real? So once again, no story spoilers. We're breaking down what's being said early, what's exciting, what's worrying, and what's actually new here. So let's jump in, starting with the big new feature, third-person mode. And I also got to try the third-person update myself, and I gotta say, I walked away overall impressed with it. It's not perfect by any means, but what is here absolutely is going to be my go-to way of playing Avatar going forward, because this is honestly what I really wanted at launch, and I'm so glad Ubisoft put it in. So yes, third-person mode is available as a free update, by the way, and it's not locked behind the DLC. You can use it in the main game and in From the Ashes. And early impressions, well, surprisingly strong so far. Some previews are straight up saying third person reinvents the game and doesn't feel like a cheap add-on either. Like Ubisoft Massive actually went the distance here with animations, camera behavior, and overall feel. But, and this is the important part, it is not flawless apparently. Now, some actions can snap you back into first person, so it can break immersion mid-play for at least some people. If you go back through the base game, you can still hit moments where you transition into first-person cutscenes with a brief black screen. Again, kind of immersion breaking, but I still would take this over not having a third-person perspective at all in the main campaign. And you got to remember, it is a free update for basically the entire game. The good news is the DLC itself reportedly solves some of those issues with more immersive third-person cutscenes. So yes, From the Ashes does feature that. Now, there are some other opinions about third-person as well from journalists, despite overall, so far the third-person perspective is definitely being well received. It's noted that in actual gameplay, the third-person camera can feel a bit overly light and disconnected. However, the dev team themselves are quite confident in third-person, saying the main player character has a tragic past and he's quite a dark character as well. So they really love third-person for him. You're a little bit separated from him, you see how powerful he is, and the way he moves as a vengeful warrior, and you get to watch him do these vicious takedowns and brutal finishers, by the way, and can see how he responds to every little thing around him. So yeah, two big takeaways there with what the dev team said. The brutal finishers are going to be amazing to witness this go around, and most notably, this sounds like technology developed for this third-person camera might help them with future games down the pipeline, which could offer both third and first-person viewpoints in one experience, which I always love options. But Ubisoft Massive was really willing to take on this challenge and apparently succeeded despite some issues. Also, a bonus here, you can switch back and forth between first-person and third-person whenever you want, so if you prefer the original immersion style, you're not losing that, especially within the new DLC story, of course. But yeah, let's get into the From the Ashes expansion itself. So Ubisoft official info makes it clear that this is just not a couple of missions. From the Ashes is the story expansion where you play Solek, a battle-hardened Navi warrior, and it's built around a darker personal story that kicks off shortly after the main game. And the spoiler-free version of the setup here is that Sokolek is basically on a survival and revenge tale here, and I'm going to leave it at that. Also, the expansion ties into the wider Avatar world, releasing the same day as, of course, Avatar, Fire, and Ash when it hits theater, so that's going to be big. But we also got to talk about the world and map changes here, because the environment is always where Frontiers of Pandora really shines, and this DLC is doing something really smart. It's taking a familiar space, Kinglar Forest, and showing it damaged. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora established itself as one of the most visually striking open worlds in recent years, faithfully capturing the dense wildlife-rich forest seen in the Avatar films. They did a fantastic job. Now, From the Ashes deliberately upends that sense of beauty and stability. Now, early impressions mention that the forest is completely scarred, with a sense that the map evolves over the campaign. We've got vast sections of the forest that have been scorched by raging wildfires, wildlife have been driven away, and the natural harmony of Pandora is visibly collapsing under the renewed RDA aggression. Now, according to Ubisoft Massive, the forest is not a static backdrop throughout the expansion. Its appearance and gameplay implications will evolve as the fires spread and the invasion escalates. And this environmental destruction directly affects traversal and combat, by the way. Active flames can inflict damage onto you, the player, while powerful thermal crosswinds disrupt flight paths, forcing players to adapt and discover alternative routes through the skies. And beyond that, Ubisoft Massive confirms a brand new area is included too, though some previews didn't actually get to see it in full yet, so that part is still a wait and see, which I kind of love that Ubisoft is not just absolutely revealing everything new in their previews, at least leave something that is a secret here. So on paper, this is exactly what you want from an expansion, a changed world plus a new world together, so that is going to be cool. But yeah, you know what? We got to talk about combat, because this is where From the Ashes could either become a must-play or a cool idea, messy execution. So which one is it? And it sounds like it's taking feedback from players very seriously from the base game, especially those that called Avatar at launch just Far Cry with Blue Cat aliens. However, this go around, some early playtesters say the combat has evolved in the direction of, get this, Battlefield, which sounds quite interesting. Here's the quote from Inverse. While a lot of the changes are subtle, it becomes apparent pretty quickly how much better combat feels here. If the base game of Frontiers of Pandora played like Far Cry, From the Ashes pushes it a little more in line with something like Battlefield. The other major change is that, for the first time, you're fighting other Navi, and the agile Magwan feel drastically different than the human soldiers. These warriors are tremendously challenging to fight, forcing you to duck and weave in and out of cover instead of just blasting away. And we got some other really cool stuff going on here as well. We got new mech variants and what's described as a robot dog type enemy that can really shake up encounters quite a bit. And Solek, by the way, our player controlled character, specifically comes with his own skills to unlock and a berserk style mode that boosts damage output and defense for a short window, letting you tear through armored RDA mechs. But here's the main early criticism. The Ash Clan enemies, the big new threat, may not be as integrated as people hoped. In at least one hands-on preview, the Ash Clan felt like they were mostly reserved for boss-type encounters, rather than becoming a regular buried enemy roster you fight throughout. Now, this can also be a really cool thing. The more rare an enemy type can become, the more exciting it can be to face off against. So yeah, that opinion right there could be subjective. And if that's true across the full DLC, yeah, that could be a potential real missed opportunity. We'll have to wait and see how this one pans out. But because Navi versus Navi is a huge concept shift for this game, it changes the fantasy, the tone, the morality. It should feel like a major evolution, not just a handful of set piece fights. So yeah, this one's going to be interesting to see how players actually receive it. Overall, it's really, really cool, the whole concept of Navi versus Navi, and I'm actually personally pretty excited for it. Now, we got boss fights, which kind of have received mixed opinions. Apparently, they were strangely absent from the base game, and the DLC adds them in here, including fights against giant creatures and even other Navi. But early impressions, again, are kind of mixed here. At least in the preview session, bosses were described as rinse and repeat, with enemies feeling like arrow and bullet sponges rather than smart, dynamic fights. So hopefully Ubisoft had some time to take feedback here and kind of adjust these big boss encounters. Now, that's not a deal breaker entirely. Bosses can vary widely across the campaign, but if multiple fights follow that same pattern, that's gonna definitely drag the DLC experience down. But let me know if you guys are going to be there for the boss battles first and foremost, or just the adventure of exploring and that third-person camera. But I really hope this comes together as a complete package and those boss battles are super entertaining. Now, here's another big reason people are re-downloading the game. New Game Plus is part of the big free update alongside third person. Now, New Game Plus lets you replay the story with your inventory and skills, but with tougher enemies, new progression elements, and upgraded gear chase. However, one important caveat that's being reported, previous story packs aren't accessible in New Game Plus, so just keep that in mind. So if you're the kind of player who wanted one clean everything run, that limitation is going to possibly annoy you. But if your goal is replay-based campaign in third person, then jump straight into From the Ashes. This update is basically built for you. And a quick reality check here, all the early hands-on impressions, while they did compliment the graph, you can say how beautiful it is, how smooth it runs, they were all on beefy PC builds, and they did not get to experience the PS5 version, so just keep that in mind here. So yeah, what we have here is, if you're on console only, the safest take right now is that third person looks incredible, DLC sounds ambitious, but performance and final polish is still a wait for launch, day one patch type situation. So yeah, here's where we land based on early hands-on impressions and confirmed details so far. The big win, third-person mode is real, it's free, and it's being called a massive upgrade to the overall experience, despite having some minor issues, with the DLC improving cinematic presence even further. The other win, From the Ashes, looks like it's delivering a darker, more focused story with a compelling protagonist in Solek and a world that actually shows consequences. And the biggest concern right now is the enemy variety and boss design. If Ash Clan enemies are mostly boss only and boss fights lean into spongy territory, that's going to feel like a big swing with a weird landing. But again, a lot of this stuff is subjective. I am extremely curious to see how you guys feel about possibly having more like rare enemy types throughout your experience. Because again, if you have some of these rare encounters, it can make it a lot more exciting. So that's the one takeaway from that. But overall, if you bounced off the main game because it felt like beautiful Far Cry on Pandora without enough evolution, well, this update and expansion combo might be the best moment to come back. So yeah, let me know if you guys are going to be purchasing Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, and the expansion for like the first time ever. You're willing to give it a go because of the third person. I'm kind of curious your take on this. But yeah, again, remember, it's launching on December 19th, mere days away. I'm excited to hop in to this as the perfect like companion piece to the brand new movie. I'm kind of biased. I love the Avatar franchise. We'll see how it pans out. Hopefully, you know, the story has to be good. That's the big thing. But yeah, we'll see how this one pans out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.